Hello, party people. All right. Welcome, welcome. This is the final day of back to school week. Okay, I would love to know in the chat what has been your favorite event so far this week for our little back to school week, um, back to school toolkit week, as Kate and I were calling it. The writing one with Andrea, public speaking, the writing. Okay, apparently this session with Andrea was a hit. I'm really sad that I missed it. Fantastic. Public speaking. Fabulous. Okay. Writing practice, paper republic, public speaking, the mental health conversation with Sydney. Fantastic. Okay. Well, I hope that you guys have been enjoying it because this is something that I just kind of came up on the fly with a couple months ago. I went to Kate and I was like, well, what if we did like a back to school week, literally 2 weeks, like a week after the symposium? Which in terms of energy was maybe a bit of a crazy idea, but I would say it's been a rather big success and I've been really enjoying it. And I'm glad that you guys have too. And also, I'm really glad that we have been able to bring in some new people to come and join us, like Andrea and Sydney. We got so lucky by having the people from Paper Republic and from Ultra Speaking to come here and chat with us. But today we return to reset. This is, as you know, my bread and my butter. This is my favorite thing to do is do a little reset. I do these monthly for those of you that are new to Accepted. First and foremost, welcome. So many of you joined us in the past 2 weeks, which is incredible. So thank you so much for being here. But every month I put on a monthly reset. And this is a time to really kind of have an intentional check-in to establish some goals for the upcoming term or the upcoming month. And part of this is the back to school reset. So this year, what we're going to do is actually have this is going to happen twice. So we're going to do the back to school reset for the fall, and then we'll do a back to school reset in the kind of winter term as well. So without further ado, let's dive right on in. So the focus of the session is really to create a bit of a framework for focus, balance, and connection. So instead of this just being a standard goal setting session, I had a long think about what I wanted this session to look like. And instead of just kind of looking back on the last year and then setting goals, I really want us to identify our patterns and think about how it is that we work best, how we focus best, and also trying to prioritize the things that really matter, which is our academics, but it is also the body and the mind that makes it possible for us to do our best work. So this is a little bit more of a holistic approach. And this is a bit of a newer model for this reset. So I'm curious to hear your thoughts afterward. But without further ado, let's go ahead and dive on in. So as I said, I'm taking a slightly different approach this year. It's intended to be a little bit more holistic, less focused on just like specific goals, and is more so about actually creating an entire framework for the way that we approach the next term. So that way we are supporting ourselves well to be happy, healthy, and to do our best work. So with this agenda, we are going to start with a little reflection exercise. This is always how we go about things. Then we're going to go into a little bit of an envisioning exercise. I want us to think ahead and establish a little bit of a foundation for the term ahead. We're then going to align or setting our goals. And lastly, there's a little bit of a bonus for you guys. I've been working on something behind the scenes. Kate's the only person that knows about it. And I wanted to create a little bit of a tangible something for you guys to have at the end of today's session so that you walk away having a kind of like physical sense of what it is that we've accomplished today. So first and foremost, I just want to all take a moment. We're just going to take a deep breath in together. So deep breath, little pause, and a nice slow breath out. So with these resets, oftentimes, where I'm asking you to reflect on your past patterns, things that might have been a little bit difficult. We're going to look at, we're going to try to identify some of those patterns that we often have trouble accepting. And one of the things that really brought about this approach is a conversation that I actually had with one of you about procrastination. And the reason I wanted to talk a little bit about procrastination is that oftentimes it's something that we think that is like an ailment or like it's something that's wrong with us. It's something that we need to fix, something that we need to change. And instead, what I want us to do in this session is really think back to those patterns that have served us, that have actually helped us accomplish the things that got us here today, and find ways to actually bring them into our system. Think about that being something that is accepted in ourselves. So whether that be that you are a last minute queen like I am, like I work on the introduction until the last minute and then the words come. And I think based on the nodding of the heads, I think a few of you are the same. But I want us to create a space where that's actually something that we embrace. So rather than thinking of that as something that is wrong or something that we need to reject or that we need to change, I want us to create a way of accepting that that is just part of how we work and working with those systems and working with those patterns so that way we can do our best work and not feel like we're just constantly beating ourselves up, because we all spend so much energy feeling shame, feeling guilt for like not doing things the quote right way. And instead, what I want us to do is think about the patterns that have worked for us, because if it works for us and it has served us in the past, it's hopefully likely going to serve you in the future. And that's something that we should embrace and we should accept and we should celebrate. So first and foremost, let's all grab our journals. For those of you that have Paper Republic, grab one of those or grab a regular notebook. You can also grab a note, like a digital note, if that's preferable. But what I want you to do is I want you to think back to a specific assignment that you had, or a project that you worked on, or something along those lines. And I want you to think about like that pride that you felt in submitting that assignment. So I want you to write down what that was. Okay, so now that we have that in mind, for me, it's like the thing that immediately comes to mind is my undergraduate thesis. Like that's the thing that I feel really proud of. I want you to think back to like what the feedback or what the result was. So it's not necessarily that you got external feedback from a professor or supervisor, but it can even just be, somebody saying like, well done, congratulations for finishing that. I want you to think about what that feedback felt like or what that result felt like. Okay. It seems like some of you have completed. If you still, I'll give you a little bit more time to work through this as well. But I just have another question for you to ponder as you go through this. Now, I want you to think back to what worked. How did you manage your time? Like, think back to the actual process that brought you to that result. So I'm going to give you 5 minutes, and I just want you to take a little bit of time to think about the process that got you there. All right. I hope that you were able to get through your reflection. If you need a little bit more time, I'll have these slides and everything available afterward, as well as the bonus content. So don't worry if you need to leave early or anything, it'll be available. Now, the goal of that particular exercise is that I want you to see that that project, likely the process that got you there was imperfect. It was likely a little scattered. There was likely a few crash outs along the way. There is no there is no perfect process that we had this vision of like, oh, I'm just going to be sitting perfectly in a library looking ideally intellectual and pristine as I work on this project. But so many crash outs. But it's a process. We're human beings. We have patterns of of challenge, of doubt, of insecurity, but also like just these bursts of brilliance and excitement. And so what I want you to do whenever you're feeling a little bit uncertain, and you're like, "Oh my God, I just don't feel like I can get this done. I don't know how I'm going to get through this." I want you to look back to that proof, as Katie was saying in the comment, like that proof that there was a time when you got through it. There was a time when you felt just the way you do now, that you weren't certain, that you did feel insecure, you weren't sure if you were going to get it done. And having the proof that you did and that it ended with a positive result. So instead of letting our minds just run amok, which by the way is part of the process too, it is entirely valid to crash out. We all do it. Accepted here. It's part of the process. It's also helpful to know that this has happened before. We've been through these patterns before. It's our way of being, it's our way of processing, and it's our way of getting through. So I want you to keep that as a bit of like physical proof that you can look back on. For me, it's like I have my YouTube channel, so I can go back to videos where I had like a big old crash out about my prospectus. I'm like, well, back then I didn't think I was going to get through it, and that was now 2 years ago, and we made it to the other side. So having a little bit of that, like that social proof that you made it through. Now it's time to do a little bit of an envisioning exercise. So as I said, we're going to be doing another reset in January. So at the beginning of the new year, we're going to come back together as a team, as a group, as a community, in order to check in, to reflect, to reset, and to prepare ourselves for the upcoming term. And what I want you to do is ask the following questions. I want you to just envision that we're all back together in January, and I want you to write down what you would want to be proud of. Now, this doesn't have to be a big accomplishment. It can be that you took the time to actually incorporate rest into the term and into your process. For me, I got to get back to the gym, my guys. Like I need to get my body moving this term because I have chronic back pain, and I will say that it is greatly affecting my ability to like show up for my work positively. And so what I'm going to be looking at and trying to accomplish is I want to look back on the end. I want to look back on this fall term and know that I did what I needed to support my body, to support movement, to get back into the gym to feel stronger. I want you to ask what you want to prioritize. How do you want to feel? And I also want you to think about who would make that possible, who and what makes that possible. So, how can you lean on others? How can you ask for support? How can you request help in order to make that feasible? So, I'm going to give you 5 minutes, and I want you to just kind of pre-write on this and think about what it is that you want to be celebrating when we come back together in January. All right. So that exercise is intended to help guide your priorities for the next term. So as we go ahead and align, I want you to think, what are the things that I want to prioritize? What are my goals? And how do you want to show up for them? Now, there is a tendency to make a long list of goals. Okay. You are now limited to three, no more than three priorities. I want you to go ahead and write them down. And then we're going to move on to the little bonus exercise. All right. So now it is time for a very fun exercise. So as you saw in some of the comments, I'm trying to push you guys a little bit. And when we think about how we set goals, what I want you to think about is how it's applied. So it's not just, for example, like I want to be stronger by the end of the term. It's also, or like even I want to prioritize my health, but I want you to think about like what are some of the tangible things that help you get there. And my little bonus exercise will help you do that. So here is the bonus. Kate, would you mind adding the link to the chat? Because I don't know if I actually have. Perfect. Thank you very much. Okay, so here you'll see your fall syllabus. We are all going to go through this exercise together. So you will all go ahead and click on the link. And so long as you are signed into a Canva account or have one set up, then you should be able to add this template to your account. Now, the idea is that it currently says Kaelyn syllabus, but this is for you. So you're going to go ahead and make some adjustments. So when you get your document, I want you to go ahead and add your name at the top, and you're going to go ahead and begin creating your syllabus. So I'm going to give everybody a minute to go ahead and download that. And then once you've done it, I want you to go ahead and give me like a thumbs up emoji. Yes, there's also a thing that says specifically, please print this out. Okay, brilliant. Make this a little bit smaller so that I can actually see the chat. I'm working on my laptop, so seeing all of the comments is a bit more challenging without the gigantic screen at home. All right. Okay, so we got some thumbs up. I'll just give it another minute, just that way all of you have a chance to get it set. Whoever is adding all of these check marks on the screen, if you wouldn't mind, it's a bit distracting and I actually don't know how to remove them. So if you wouldn't mind not doing that, I would appreciate it. So you open up the document and then you go ahead and add the template. So for example, I'll show you really quick. So when you go ahead and click on the link, it should let me click on the link. It's not. So when you click on the link, it'll say edit template. So you just go ahead and click on that button and it'll add it to your account. I'm just gonna go ahead back to mine. Oh, that's not the right thing. There we go. Okay. I'll give you guys just another minute as I kind of walk through the first page. So as we come down to the welcome section, this is just a little bit of information. But essentially, this is just going to be a general framework. This is meant to be a fun exercise for you to have something a little bit tangible to work with as we move through the fall term. As you can see here, at the beginning, we've got your priorities. So those goals that you just set, what I want you to go ahead and do is name the goal. I also want you to write down, why does this matter? And I want you to create those stepping stones. So you don't have to have 3 stepping stones. It can also be, for example, like a weekly habit that we check in on or something along those lines. For me, for example, one of my goals is to have 2 chapters completed. And so those stepping stones would be, for example, the complete draft by X date, the revised draft by X date, and those kinds of things. So it can be really specific, but can also be a bit more flexible. So if it's a goal that's a bit more focused on a habit, then that would be, for example, just like a single stepping stone of, I want to check in on this like once a week that I did it, sufficiently. So I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to give you, Kate, would you mind adding the link again for Rosalind, please? I'm going to go ahead and give you guys 3 minutes. So you can actually, I'll give you 5. And we're just going to go ahead and add your priorities to the syllabus, adding why it matters and adding your stepping stones. So this may take a little bit more time than you've got. But you have this now that you can go ahead and continue editing beyond today's session. So I'm going to go ahead and move on to the third page, which is your bucket list. To make this a little bit more fun, part of your syllabus is going to be creating a short bucket list. Now, this is not meant to be overwhelming. This is meant to be fun. This is meant to inject a little bit of joy and whimsy into the fall term. And so I want you to go ahead and write down a couple of things that you want to experience. I also want you to write a few things that you want to learn. Now, like I said, this is not meant to be tiresome. This is meant to be a little whimsical. This is meant to create a little bit of fun this term of like things that I want to try, things that I want to go and do. And again, like this is not meant to be exhaustive. So creating a few little bits and pieces, a few little things that you would like to do over the fall term, and then we'll move on to the next page. So I'm just going to give you 3 minutes to go ahead and write these out. Okay, I'm not gonna lie, I might have orchestrated that a little bit. I may have put the knitting group in the chat because I've seen many a session whereby people be knitting and I'm not seeing a knitting group, so I may have put that in there on purpose. So Katie, not to call you out, but yes, everything's like slightly intentional. Okay, so we're gonna go ahead and move on to the next page. And this is creating a boundary. Okay. So, us academics, us scholarly minded folk, we like to say, well, it's not that we like to say yes, but we say yes to a lot of things that we probably shouldn't. Okay. We say yes. We try to appease others. We are a group of people pleasing perfectionists. Okay. Now, what we're going to do is actually create a little bit of a boundary. Now, this isn't meant to be perfect. Okay. Like, this is not meant to be an exhaustive list where it perfectly is able to capture every opportunity that you would say yes to. However, it is to help you kind of differentiate when opportunities come your way. What are your values? What are your priorities? What are the things that you would say hell yes to? And the things that you're like, maybe, maybe I should do that. It looks good on my CV. Those are the things I want you to say no to. Okay. If it's a lukewarm response, it's a no. And so, what I want you to do is go ahead and write down a couple of opportunities that you would be so excited for. Like if this came into your inbox, you would be jumping up and down giddy. And I also want you to write some loose guidelines as to opportunities that you would say, thank you so very much, but no. Annalisa, I see that face. I saw that reaction. You've got this. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead. I'm gonna give you another 4 minutes to go. And again, like this isn't meant to be perfect. It's not meant to be exhaustive. It's just so that way when an opportunity comes your way, you look at this and you see what it connects to. Is it a hell yes or is it a maybe? Then it's a no. So we're creating boundaries today, folks. All right. I know that that exercise can be a little bit painful, but the idea of also having a physical list of things that you'd be really excited about and having a couple of examples or guidelines as to things that you would say no to, it again, it just provides a little bit of a framework, a reference that you can look back to when you do have opportunities coming your way, and you can help kind of differentiate, okay, is this something that I really want? Is this something that I would be really excited to go for? Or is this something maybe I should say no to at this time? Now for the final page. And this is your health check. Okay. This is a little bit of a gentle reminder to check in every week on the thing on prioritizing our health. Now, one of the ways that we tried to structure this back to school week was trying to be really holistic about the way that we were bringing in speakers and really trying to create frameworks for you to prioritize your health, your well-being, having joyful memories, joyful moments, and also just not just prioritizing academic validation, academic success, but really thinking about the whole picture and the body and the mind that holds up that whole picture. So this health check, if it's something that you're going to struggle to remember, for those of you that are a little neurospicy, especially those with ADHD that aren't necessarily going to remember to do this check-in, I recommend having like a little reminder alarm or something. This can also be something that you do in terms of accountability with people at Accepted. So for example, like having a weekly kind of check with somebody in a chat, or we can use this. We can even create like a little bit of a group if you would like. But ultimately, it's just kind of a few things that you want to just do a little bit of a scan. Now, this doesn't have to, again, it does not have to be exhaustive. It can just be one, it can just be like, okay, how am I feeling in terms of my physical health this week? Like it doesn't have to be specific. However, if you are somebody like me that likes something specific to check on, then you can go ahead and add those parameters. So I'm just going to give you like another 3 minutes to go ahead and just kind of do a little, like create a little check-in list, some things that you're just going to do a little bit of a scan once a week. You can also do this in collaboration with the weekly planning sessions, as Ash has said in the chat. It's a great way of meeting up with others in the community to do these little checks. So I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to set the timer for 4 minutes. Like I said, it's not meant to be an exhaustive list. It's just meant to be that little moment of check-in once a week where you can see that you have, prioritized your mental, physical, and emotional well-being.
Okay, you're muted.
Just realized that. Thank you. um, all right. So we've now finished our syllabus. You can add to this, you can add additional pages, you can edit it, you can revise it, you can print it. This is yours for the keeping. Okay. This is your physical thing that you're going to keep and you're going to play with and use throughout the term and refer back to. And we will create a new one for the winter term when we come back together in January. So hold on. Why can I not get back to the slides? So without further ado, we're going to go ahead and close out the session with one little reminder. Okay, so I want us to all create a little bit of a system for checking in on our goals or our bucket list. Now, this is something that you can do solo. However, here at Accepted, we believe that everything is better when done with others. So if you want to join Ash's weekly check-in, if you have an accountability buddy that you have made in this room or that you would like to check in on, then you can use the chat in Accepted or Society socials to find somebody else that you can connect with in order to discuss, check in, and share your goals with. And it's just another way to make this a bit more fun, first and foremost, but also to ensure that we have that system in place where we can check in on our progress, celebrate our progress, and think about anything that needs revision along the way. So I run my monthly reset that you are absolutely welcome to join. That is one way that you can do your check-in. However, I also recommend leaning on the community and finding other ways to have more regular check-ins as well. So without further ado, that is a wrap on back to school week. That is a wrap on this back to school reset. First and foremost, I just want to say thank you in particular to Kate for helping me co-organize and run this thing. It just so happened that I got invited to this creator retreat right after we had announced the dates for the symposium. So she's been an absolute star in running events while I've been unavailable. Thank you to all of our incredible partners who joined us this week. And thank you to all of you that have joined in on the sessions. And for those of you that have also welcomed our new members, it is crazy to see how many people have joined the community. And I am so grateful that you are here. So this recording and all of the materials, including the slides and the template link, will be available with the recording for Accepted members. And I will see you all very soon. All right.